Learning Committee meeting to order, please. Agenda review and disposition.
The only thing I have to add is, Bruce, what did you want to review? The foreign exchange?
I'd like to review foreign exchange and co-curricular.
Okay. Co-curricular for non-public.
For non-public.
And foreign exchange for public under other.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And minutes from September 21st and from April 21st. Does anybody have any changes or additions to those minutes that they, either one? I think if not, we can probably approve both of them. All right, so hearing no changes, I move that we approve the minutes from September 21st, 2022. Nope, 2021.
Yes.
And April 21st, 2022. All in favor? Oh, so, yeah, you're moving.
Right.
I'm not moving.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. Discussion items. Attendance, absenteeism, and truancy policy.
So I'm going to try to catch up on some policies that we have not kept up with over the past couple of years. So the attendance one is the most, has the most influence on the handbook and is required as well. There really has been a shift in the response to truancy. And over the past couple of years, we have seen so the high school is always kind of noted for having a pretty strict attendance policy. With COVID happening and the number of days that kids were required to stay out, probably this last year. Remember, some kids were out for 30 days at a time, and there really wasn't any teeth to anything that we were doing. Well, now we're trying to kind of pull back a little bit, but fall somewhere in between. Of the last policy and now, the current kids that we have here, except for the seniors, really don't know what the policy looked like back then. The previous policy was a little, exceeded some of the RSAs, but right now the truancy, really we're looking at excused absences, what are those, and how we're responding to truancy. So when somebody actually is out and habitually truant, instead of being punitive and going right to the court system, we now have to provide numerous documentations on how the school is intervening, finding out what the root cause of the issue is with the student, and really documenting what we're doing to bring the child back into the building and attending, including, so Sean O'Brien has a big piece in that, Paul Borsch in the special ed department.
Officer Jill.
And Officer Jill serves as your truant officer, and the amount of paperwork that Jill has to bring now is significantly more than 3 years ago to even push to hold whether it be parents accountable or whatever the case may be. So this policy really aligns with the new RSA, and it's the model policy right from the New Hampshire School Boards Association. So it's the first read, so you don't have to do anything with it tonight if you don't want to. But it's a good chance to see what the updated language is too.
Okay. Phil?
Could you just highlight the changes?
Sure, so the biggest changes was the truancy intervention piece.
Okay.
That's the big change. It's a completely different policy, so this is, so once it gets approved, then we'll have to amend the handbook to align with it.
Yeah.
It streamlines, it's pretty easy to follow. If you notice on the last page of the policy, it notes all the RSAs that are attached to it. So they used to have, a policy about compulsory attendance, a policy about truancy. Now it's just all rolled into one.
Okay.
You have to come to school. You need an excuse if you don't, or you need Mr. Parsons' approval, which basically it leaves the administrator to deal with the family in whatever case it would be, because there's always circumstances regarding college visits, regarding time with family, or other issues that are above and beyond the usual excused absences.
for the vast majority of kids, I think I found that this all makes sense, but how about those kids who don't have the parental support, just don't come, or if they do come, they come late, and sometimes I think it was a disruption to the class, that kids coming and going, and
It is,
Yeah,
yep.
how does this, if at all, impact that group of
Well, it
students?
pulls back again a little bit to really look at, how we're holding kids accountable, and then is it because of the kid, or is it because of the supervision? So we have wraparound services like Wild and Tennille.
Recovery.
Yeah.
I
Did you
said-
want to add anything to
Yeah.
that with the attendance?
But
with
Phil,
just
those
with the
kids you're
pattern?
talking about, Phil, I don't leave, usually the case is they'll get homeschooled, and then we'll come up with some kind of program that can work with that, whether it's transportation or a lack of guardianship, parental support at home. But we'll find some program that can work. At the Grad Point, Janice runs the HISET program for me. Like Kyla said, that Wild program now, we intervene at an earliest age. But COVID has played a major impact
Oh, sure,
giving people a pass, or giving, on attendance. The structure is broken down. It's all over the state, I'm sure, but, and people are trying to get back, they're trying to get that structure back,
Does this, and I know school board, it's fine, but are we losing some of our leverage? We used to have a court system.
It's
Yes.
the same thing,
Yeah, we are.
but we have to, we're required a lot more documentation
More hoops
intervention
jump
to
through before we
get
can
to
get
that.
to it.
Yeah,
Yes,
sort of like a
Absolutely. You got the
prerequisite.
nail on
Yeah,
that.
before you even think about bringing it to the court, you need everything.
You need a paper trail.
But that leverage, I know in some instances, and it was, when I was a student in Meredith, some of the Ashland kids that we took, the one that I remember happened to be from there, and I think also there was a family transferred in here from Interlates that had to resort to the court for help. Not for punitive, but just for that pressure to get the parents to say, you gotta go to school.
Yep.
Someone to say you gotta go to school. Okay.
So if you're comfortable recommending it to be passed, that would be great, because then it gives us the summer to work on the handbook. There's nothing additional that exceeds anything, so that's what I would recommend if you're comfortable with that, please.
So you're saying recommending to pass it on to the full board for the next school year?
Yeah.
I'll move that.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of moving this policy onto the full board? Okay, great, thank you. All right, other business, foreign exchange.
Yes, Madam Chair. We haven't had one in about, I'd say, 3 years. I'm losing count. So we've opened our doors, again, with your good grace. And this does meet our policy for our new members. We have to get all applications in before June 30th. We're allowed to take 4, basically 2 juniors and 2 seniors. But they have to get their application in before June 30th. They have to be an approved program on our approved international list, which this one is. I've worked with this company a number of times. And the host parents are going to be Carrie and Melissa Vanino from Plymouth. Vainio. They have hosted kids in the past. This young man is coming to us from Belgium. And to answer the past superintendent would always want to know what they play. This person plays a violin. So
Excellent.
I'm not bringing in a soccer or a football or, a tennis star. So Plymouth is bringing in a violinist, and it looks like a very good one. I have his application. I can't pronounce it. Sammy Leckel, but he's from Belgium. And the contact person is Susan Diamond. I worked with her numerous times. Very reputable company.
What grade will the kid?
He'll be a senior.
Okay.
He's 18. He's 18. So I'll pass this around for your peruse. You can take a look at a picture of Sammy, and but I'd like to pass that on to the full board at our June meeting.
Okay, do I hear a motion then to move that on to the full board?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, great. Do we need to vote on that when we move it on to the board?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. All in favor of moving this boy onto the full board, or do we want to peruse that first?
It's impeccable, but most board members always like looking at it's his full family. Talks about it, whether his likes, his dislikes, but, you can take your time, you can take it with you, peruse it. But you are recommended, and they'll want it, some of the other members will want to see it too on Tuesday night when we have the full board meeting.
So we have the motion on the floor to move it to the full board. You want to go ahead and vote on that then?
You just need a second, I think.
We have a
Oh,
second.
you did, you did have
Okay,
a second. Okay.
Yeah, all in favor of moving it on to the board?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
All right, no other business? Do I hear a motion to go into non-public?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Bonnie?
Second.
Second, Greg. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Public session again, and Bruce gave us lists of co-curricular and athletics. And do I hear a motion to move those lists onto the full board?
A motion then.
Great, and
Second.
Bernie, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed or abstaining? No. Okay, thank you. Do I need to do those separately? The co-curricular and the athletics?
Yeah.
Okay, so, sorry, I just did them together.
That's right.
Let's do co-curricular. Do I hear a motion?
Yep.
Okay,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. And, yes, slate of athletics, motion for that.
A motion.
Great, and Bernie, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Hi, Christy.
Okay, I think that's it, unless anybody has any concerns. All right, and do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
We'll move right into the next one because there is no quorum, so you can discuss the items, you just can't take any action. So does everyone want to move forward with that discussion? So I won't do the agenda review or the minutes, but Board Docs was something that's been brought up. Board Docs is the software program that you use for your board meeting agendas and minutes. It always comes up every once in a while if the board wants to continue to use it. It doesn't seem like many of our board members, it's just the high school who uses it, so So it's about $4,000 a year. You may want to consider phasing that out.
Every time that comes, I go like this.
Well, Michelle brought it up. She's like, you might want to ask them. None of them seem to like it. It's like, I don't know, it came up.
I sent it over to Michelle, I said,
No, how long has it been?
forever,
Carolyn Barrett was
Yeah.
preceded that
Yeah.
whole thing, and it was good for a while, it's just.
maybe 15 years ago.
It will be a process for us to move all the documents into our own system, but I just think at the next renewal, maybe I'll just put it on the agenda that we vote on it. It's just,
Well, I think it just came up for renewal, that's why
Yeah.
we wanted to
That's why we
get,
questioned it,
because we
Yeah.
wanted to cancel it.
we may need to use it to phase out, to
Oh,
pull
to
the
phase-
documents off.
I see.
It's not an easy program, it's a little,
Okay.
so, but you're the only district that uses it, so. you-
like it.
Yeah, right, okay.
I don't know.
You don't have to vote on it, but I clearly get a sense of where you'd like to go.
One more time. Remember.
The other piece that has been brought up, I think individually, with a few board members, and you've discussed it as a full board, is public comment or privilege of the floor. So it's down to one privilege of the floor, but it really came up as the movement. I think at the beginning of the year, this was a pretty tough year as far as some issues and stuff that came up, so managing the meeting and really making it more of an effective board meeting, but really listening to public comment at the same time. You have no policy in place right now. I don't have policies at any of the districts for public comment. Each district seems to just have a set of guidelines. You may want to reestablish those guidelines if you're not going to move to a policy, but really looking at a discussion on, do you have one? Do you have two? Sometimes the chair can make the call on their own to change to remove one or add one or two or whatever you want and where. But I think maybe just a consensus as far as where folks want to go. I know there's some strong opinions either way, so now's the time, I think, to have the conversation. I said no action can be taken tonight, but the benefits, I think, of having two public privilege of the floor are one. So
I think too, I think it's just a placement right now. It's just awkward to have it before we even discuss
I
anything.
agree.
So I think it's just placing it deeper down in the meeting so that they can hear and then get up and,
And
comment on.
did you have two prior to? Did we put it?
Two, but
down?
the first one was always awkward because,
There's
you're just.
nothing to say.
There's nothing
Yeah.
to say.
No,
We haven't
never
even
said
started
anything.
yet.
So Lisa, I don't know if you want to
Sure,
just
Bill,
facilitate.
yeah.
But is the question, do we have a policy or not?
There is no policy.
I know. My point has been pretty consistently, we ought to have a policy, because I think a number of us have become aware of some of the difficulties in neighboring districts of where, police have had to actually been brought in to maintain order because there is no guideline or rule. And to me, the beauty of any policy is so that you have it in place, and then any action the board chair or the superintendent may take does not come across as arbitrary. Well, I don't like you, so I'm not going to allow you to speak type thing, or no, you can't speak for 5 minutes, or no, you can't speak both at the beginning and the end. As opposed to if you have a policy, then it's set in place, and no one can say, well, you're treating me differently. And I think that's what has gotten some boards in trouble, because they don't have anything to fall back on and say, well, it's our policy. And you can always vote to excuse the policy, if you will, by a 2/3 vote of the board at the time, if the need be. I just think it keeps any board out of trouble. And you never know when our turn is going to come, for, a difficult situation. So I would encourage us to develop a policy. I know that was, last fall I attended the Bradley Kidder Law Conference, and the attorney, Gordon Graham, spoke very strongly about the value in having, a well-defined policy in place to keep boards out of the heat, away from the heat. So that would just be my 2 cents on that. And I know it's going to a committee that I'm not on, but I'd be happy to work with anyone if that was desired. That's just my opinion.
Yes.
I think it's a good idea to have a policy in place also. I think we really should develop one. Although I was reading we do have guidelines, right? Where the speakers are supposed to be limited to 10 minutes and
Well, they're loose, I'd say they're pretty loose guidelines and
they are written down somewhere though.
not.
No.
I thought I read them in the board docs that we're talking
The
about.
board doc, maybe, maybe.
Just the last couple of weeks I read them.
Nothing official that I've ever recalled in the
Yeah, I don't think it's
years
official.
I've been the chief of the
It may not be
sheriff.
official, but they're in there.
Yeah, so it could be at the will of the chair too, so that's
Well,
the other,
that's in
that's the
there.
other.
It's at the will
yeah,
of the chair.
Yeah.
She or he can determine.
Yeah, and that's what it's
Or they or
been,
them or
yeah.
whatever we're talking about can determine
The
whatever they
school
want.
board model policy is quite lengthy. I think that I would recommend something maybe a little bit more simple, just to, but I can definitely bring it, I don't know if it, but I mean, you can't vote on anything now, but I think a discussion at the larger board, but you get
It'd
a
be good to
sense
have a
of.
couple, like, maybe policy samples to look at if other schools have them, like if you.
I have
you
a few,
some,
yeah.
Maybe that can help shape
I
our
think it can
own.
be really simple. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
Yeah,
Doesn't
right.
have
The
to
ones
be
that
a lot
I've
of
seen,
information.
the model policies that I've seen this year, in my opinion, are reactive to the current political climate. And a policy is something you're, I mean, you could always
Good point.
amend or modify, but I think just a few core, we tend to not overcomplicate policies here, so it's just something.
We've been very fortunate too.
Yeah, you have. I mean,
Very, very fortunate.
I just think if, you're clear on time and when and
And you're very
some of the
transparent.
boundaries around it, yeah.
We also leave it kind of open-ended so that the chair can make determinations if things
Yeah.
get out of hand or...
And I think it's important to even talk about, how you respond to public comment, because that even with newer board members, whether you get an email blast or you get some, one person, those are always good pieces to add into it as far as how do you respond, because I think some of the questions sometimes is, you can't respond. How do you, are you supposed to respond? Are you not supposed to respond? And really, there's some pretty clear guidelines around that piece that just may be helpful.
Yeah, I think it's not a model policy, but in the background that Gordon Graham presented was public input. The intent is for the board to listen and be cautious about getting into a debate,
Right.
because then the motion takes over. But I mean, things like that are, whenever, if you would, a new board member orientation or something in all the districts, just to say, the intent of public input was for the board to listen to what that public input is, and then probably take it under advisement, and then act on it at the next meeting.
Yeah, you decide as a group, is this something to discuss or something to respond to?
Yeah, but not respond to the person at the meeting.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not get an argument with somebody.
Exactly, and that's-
As an individual board member, yeah.
Yeah, and
Maureen.
I think that if there could be a short sentence before anyone speaks at a school board to elucidate that might be.
That we're not
helpful.
ignoring them.
I
So then
agree.
they aren't expecting us to have a conversation and they know what the law is, because there are certain laws around that. So that might be helpful if we came up with something.
Yeah, even if, sometimes the chair will just say, it's public comment, just a reminder, everybody has, 3
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Please be aware that we usually take public comment under advisement, so it's not a back and forth typically.
Right.
So we are listening and just if we
Yeah.
have public comment, typically we don't, but.
Like she had to read something when we were on Zoom. She had to read
Right.
a statement before. So.
Do you want me to put this on the full board meeting?
Well, I just wonder if it should just stay here for a while and look at samples, and let's do the legwork. I mean, that's
Okay.
the point of committee meetings,
Yep.
not to just throw it up to the main
Yep.
board. So those meetings are real efficient. So I'd say keep it here, let's get some samples, let's talk more about it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks. That's all. We have a nursing, the LNA. Do you want to go over the ceremony?
I will.
Coming
Do
up
you want
at
to take them
6?
through today, the order today? The
Oh,
building?
yes. I feel like that was yesterday. Just to make you aware, there was, and I know some of you did receive the messages. I had Michelle send it out to all of you as well. We got a call about 7 o'clock this morning that the fire alarm was going off. In addition, that there was some smoke in the learning commons of the library. We waited to see what the fire department reported to us. We had a few kids and staff in the building. They evacuated over to the Plymouth Elementary School, which is part of the safety plan anyways. It was not great timing as buses start coming in and teachers from the elementary school, teachers from the high school. And so the Plymouth Police Department, while the situation was being evaluated, kids were dropped off at Plymouth Elementary. We got a call about 7:15, 7:20 that they weren't sure what was going on and that it could take several hours to find out what was happening, that they couldn't guarantee that there would be a solution pretty quickly on the fly. We decided to dismiss the kids, given the uncertainty of the situation, that there was smoke in the learning commons. Dismissal went great. Little hectic at times, just because it's the nature of the timing. The timing was tough. The bus company picked up all the kids by 8:20.
8:20? Yeah.
They waited over at Plymouth Elementary School. Kids were dismissed, Messages were sent out both at, I think my first message went out around right before 7:30. I did a follow-up message at 10.
10.
We met as administrators. The building was cleared around 10, like
10,
not, yeah. And we opened back up at 2 o'clock for practices, after-school programs. All the hours are covered. So typically emergency days we don't make up, so we are not going to make that particular day up. We are at 175 days, which is the least amount we can attend. So if there were by chance another emergency, we would have to make up that one. But for right now, it stays at June 13th. So it was a roof.
Where was our facilities guy?
He was here, he was here, it was the HVAC, Paul, up the, one of the air handlers.
Yeah, once, and he didn't know, it took that fire department how long to figure out what it was?
I think so, yep.
They,
Shouldn't have.
yeah,
There's only
So-
one unit that does the learning commons.
yeah.
Right, correct.
It should have been real simple.
Yeah. So they
Took a
did not
while.
allow us, yeah,
No,
they didn't
they
allow
kept
us.
them up. And the timing, I want to give, just follow up on Kyle, kudos to Randy Cleary, I mean, because he was the head administrator here. And, you know, 'cause that's, he's here at 6:30, he does the morning piece. But, you know, you, as Kyle has said, you have all that, you know, uncertainty coming in, you know. Kids come different times, the buses all come different times. So, you know, kudos to, you know, Randy in handling the situation till Todd got in. Kylie Cap helped him out well, the number of early teachers that came in. Also, you know, and as they said, you know, people were saying, well, what do? You follow the plan.
Yeah.
A fire alarm went off, you evacuate the building.
Right.
We don't know what it is, but you evacuate the building, whether it's lunch, whether it's tonight at 6 o'clock, we go. You know, and you move at it, but,
So we did know about the motor way earlier, but they didn't allow us back in the
In the
building
school.
until the smoke was clear out. So just to clear that out, we knew within, what, half an hour?
half hour.
That it was that.
So what time does Todd get in?
Todd gets in 6:30, 6:30.
Yeah. Yeah.
Randy's here first. So the night crew, Paul, would have been here, Will Hawkins would have been here, but the actual thing went off, I think, at 6 minutes before 7.
Yeah.
That's when it went off. And the fire department was wonderful, they were here within 6 minutes too. So,
Yeah.
kudos to the fire department and the police. They
And then
were
we just took the
well
direction
responded.
from
Yep.
them.
Yeah, they take over. But Mrs. Welch made the right decision and told the kids that we're done. And business as usual.
Yep. Yep.
I have a question about the number of school days that the kids are attending this year. And it looks like we're down to the lowest that we can be at, essentially, for the number of hours that they have to be in school or close to it.
Yeah.
Do we have plans to go back to the way it was before COVID? Because I know we used to pride ourselves on having more hours than the state required, and
Yeah, so the only reason it is this year is because we're gonna start the demolition. I mean,
Okay.
that's the only, our typical, I mean, we were gonna go as normal up until the project and the ESSER funds came through, and they said they have to move in here a few days
We
early.
cut back hours to, like, some time at the end of the day.
Oh, the,
Um,
When we
Yeah, that was
dismissed,
the
that's
no,
going
way
back
back
to
when,
normal.
that'll go back to normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
We went back to make arrangements for the, Maureen's right, we went back to make arrangements for the 5 lunches.
Okay.
And that was what the
Yeah, we
memo of
had to-
understanding that we did with the teachers to get those 5 lunches in. They put the 15 minutes of flex time in third period,
Yeah.
which accommodated us to get out. The teaching didn't come down, okay? The lunch period went down.
the lunch
They,
periods were.
they gave
faster
that
than
up.
Teaching instructor.
Right, teaching did not go down.
Right,
But we will go back to 220 next year.
yeah.
And then we've always put in the exact, more than on
Yeah,
our
Right,
hours.
right, yeah.
We still exceed the hours by quite a bit, it just compares to the days.
And seniors have always been 175,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank
you
you.
know.
And then-
And
That's all I
tonight,
got.
I know a lot of board members do like to stop in at 6 o'clock. Our new health art teacher and the other nurse, there's 2 of them, that they do the clinicals too. 10 of our students are being inducted tonight. They passed the test. And they have a nice ceremony going on next door. If you just want to grab a program and take a look at it, pretty in-depth. It's, we're really proud of, you know, kudos again to Randy as the CTE director in keeping that program. The numbers are great, and they do work. Keep in mind, those kids go out on clinicals on Fridays and Sundays too. So it's an everyday course too, and they have to pass the test given by the state, not by us, to go on with that. And it's interesting too, if you look at the program, to see the colleges the kids are going to and what they want to study as a result of the course that we're providing here at the high school. So if you'd like, it's going to be a half hour, and Culinary Arts is providing the refreshments, so it should be pretty good. Tomorrow, we're hosting here for all the SAU robotics afternoon, starting at 1:30. That'll be in our cafeteria. It won't affect our schooling at all. And with Assistant Superintendent Pam Martin, did a tremendous job of putting all these schools together and the grants and all that piece. They'll be here tomorrow on that. Scholarship meeting tomorrow.
A lot going on.
A lot going on. A lot going on. And the prom was a real success. The kids were wonderful, as usual. Kudos to the kids.
Bruce, thank you.
They did everything I asked.
3 of those LNAs worked for me in 2 programs. It's incredible to have LNAs at our after-school, at our weekend programs,
Great.
at our camp. So I just have to say that that's just amazing. Any accident that happens, those 3 are right in the
there.
middle of it. It's really great. So,
So
thank
if you got the time, get started, they do give you guys kudos because you support them every day.
Just quickly, just a real quick count on who can attend Thursday, the SAU meeting. I know it's another night out, but you'll be there. So Phil, Maureen, Paul.
I can't on Thursday.
Probably not. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
We'll be discussing the retreat in July.
Yeah,
it's going to be a quick one, I think.
it is gonna be a quick
So
one, I
I'm
promise.
motivated to make it
It's
happen.
always like a beautiful night too, and it's people do. Thanks, Mom.
Late day at work.
Late day work, okay. All right, very good. Now, that's a lot of representation from the high school, I appreciate it. I know I'm gonna try to keep it under an hour, so.
Will we do the retreat in July and the June meeting, or
The June meeting, we said we're gonna bring it to the full board.
Because I need some dates from you guys to
Yep.
book that.
Okay.
We have the 2 dates
Yep.
we're looking at, but we're gonna see if our place has time, since they have so many things going on there. So, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.